is everybody doing? I am coming in from North Carolina. It's pretty dreary out there. It's kind of sad, actually. Yesterday we had like the most beautiful day. We were outside playing chalk, bubbles, all of the things. Today is kind of just like a cozy, warm day. So, hi, Ryan. Good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for coming, Giacomo. You guys are the best. You are the best. And today, hi Rachel, we are talking about failure. And I know that that's kind of like a funny thing to be talking about in January, but there is a method to my madness. I want us to all kind of celebrate the things that we've failed at in this month. So for me, that would include, I tried to start some herbs. I did cilantro, oregano, and basil. My oregano did not make it, so fail. Sourdough, also fail. And I tried curlers. I don't know if anybody else has tried curlers. I should have brought in a picture of me. If you want to see it, let me know, because I will send you the picture of me with the curlers, and it just did not go well. So I'm here to just say we're going to try new things and we're going to fail at them. We're going to suck at them. And this is kind of a new thing for me. I get embarrassed easily. I hate losing. I hate failing. So I find myself kind of stuck a lot of times where I'm just not doing anything because I don't want it to backfire. And then I got to a place in my life where everything was just pushing me to do things differently. I don't know if you've ever parented a toddler, but basically every day is failure. So there's constantly like, oh, let's try this. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, let's try this. Didn't work. So that helped. And then also I've started my own business and loads of failure, as I'm sure lots of you who are here can relate to. So as I've been going through all of this, I have had the best community here on LinkedIn, which is why I'm here live. So most of you I know from Coffee with Kim, which has been such an awesome light in my life, honestly, for the past almost 3 years now. And that is how we met our guest today, Jeff. I know a lot of you know him. He is amazing. He's an entrepreneur, an inventor, a mindset coach. He has, I want to say 9 patents. I think we'll talk to him in a second. And he has been a huge help for me as I've started things. He's like the friend who lets you know when things don't really make sense, but doesn't like squash your spirit. So I am so excited for you guys to talk to him today. He has also helped me. I just want to say real quick, he has the best dad jokes and the best like witty comeback. So with my streaming here on LinkedIn, he came up with the domain streamcute.com, and it actually points to my website now to help everybody get these cute little graphics up on their LinkedIn Live and YouTube Live and all of that stuff. So without further ado, hello, Jeff.
Hey, everyone, and thanks so much, Shelby. That was an awesome intro. I appreciate it.
You are welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And look, Jen made it. Jen is at a conference right now speaking to like a bajillion people. So wow. The fact she's checking in with us is so awesome. Hi, Jen.
That is awesome. Thank you. And thanks CWK crew for showing up. We appreciate it.
Aren't they the best? And this is why LinkedIn Live is like my favorite thing ever, because it's creating relationships. It's not just like this content into the universe. So I love it. I love to see everybody. I have been telling Kim we need to do like some sort of like meetup for us to all meet in real life at some point. I think that would be fun.
That would be awesome. I'm all for that. Create our own mastermind out of it.
All right. Can you kind of tell us all about yourself a little bit, Jeff?
Absolutely. So just in celebration of failure, I also failed at hair curlers this month.
Did you? You tried the hair curlers too?
It didn't. I couldn't get it to go. I don't know. I don't know what it was. So yeah, thanks again for the opportunity to be here. And so I've been starting. I've been an engineer, been in operations, in product. I have 11 patents with one pending for the coffee, which hopefully will come in this spring.
Can you tell people what the coffee is? Because
the coffee is it's a patent pending heated coffee sleeve that allows you to take your Starbucks or any size to-go coffee cup, slide it in, and it keeps it hot for up to 3 hours. And you can control the temperature through a mobile app. It's rechargeable. It has a USB-C port to charge it, and it's hopefully coming out this year. We'll see.
Okay, awesome. We are staying tuned because I know I always order coffee and I'm super ambitious that it's going to stay warm the whole time I drink it. It never does because I'm always doing a million things and getting sidetracked. So anyways, that's awesome. We're excited about it. Okay. I would love to dive into your survive, thrive, dive framework. Kind of explain to us what that is. Everybody, me and Jeff were talking a couple weeks ago, and this framework came up, and I was like, hey, let's do a live about it. Let's talk about it live. So
that's awesome. Thank you. So and actually, because of our conversations and a few other clients that I've been coaching, I hadn't formalized the survive, thrive, or dive framework as coaching. I've been writing about it from my own experience in life. And then I realized I was using the tools for myself. Especially in the past year, I've had a lot of things going on. And the way I look at life, and when we were talking about like survive is sort of the baseline, right? If you think of a graph where your y=0 line, that's where your the survive is for everybody, right? There's a flat line of like life is good, nothing exciting, nothing bad, but you're in a pretty good place. We need that as a baseline for life, right? That's where we need to be. Our thrive is when we start doing these things that elevate us, right? Which is why I've done spent all this money on masterminds and personal development growth and coaching. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on all those programs in order to help me thrive. That mindset helped me start my own business, helped me leave corporate and start my own business. So that framework, that ability to thrive and to see beyond the exact moment that you're in and start elevating yourself is where I go into the thrive. The dive moments are hopefully just moments for everybody. We've all experienced them, and we know what they can go to. There's a darkness that can go there. And what I've been doing with people is helping them to see the framework and to see beyond that survive level, right? There's a baseline that needs to be there, but once you start doing the things that can amplify your life, that becomes exponential. It goes from a straight line to sort of an exponential curve. And you'll still have moments. Everyone has no one's life. It doesn't matter if you're a billionaire or not. Your life goes up and down like this, but hopefully that up and down is going upwards. Your survive line should be moving upwards. It's no longer like at the y=0. It should be at a y=10 or a y=100, and your life keeps going up. So those bounce, and then as I was explaining to someone else, the survive should become like a trampoline, so that when you have those moments where you start to dip down, instead of going into a dive, you just sort of bounce back up again because you have the tools in there. And that's what I'm coaching people on, is those tools to get to thrive.
So I'm curious, is there a way to kindly tell somebody that they're diving?
You can. There is a way to do it.
Assess other people's diving.
Well, again, I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist.
Right.
I'm not a doctor or medical doctor, so none of my advice is medical advice. It's from a coaching perspective. But I think we've all, if you've been in that dive mode and someone you trust and is coming after you with love, is pointing out that they feel you're in a dive mode, I think that's an appropriate place to start, and maybe not with a dive conversation. It's sort of you're eliciting, you try to elicit out of them what is happening for them, because you can't speak to what is true for them.
I feel like most of us know when we are in dive mode. I feel like it's kind of just like, whatever, like we're diving, let's all go, like whatever.
I think some people don't know that though. I'll be honest. I've found people that will go to those states, and it depends on what tools they have to get out of it. That people that go into things like substance abuse generally have come out of the dive because of like a traumatic incident, even from years ago. It starts to replay, and it can become a very negative slope for them, and that's where you intervening with friends, I think, is an appropriate place, and even with coworkers too, to try and, you don't need to be a professional therapist or psychologist or even coach, just to have that conversation with them, and then maybe get them to a coach or a therapist or a psychologist or something. I'm sorry.
Can we get to this question from Giacomo? He's saying, what has inspired you and helped you to thrive lately?
It's an awesome question. Thanks for asking that, Giacomo, and good to see you. For me, it was connecting with the people that I love. I had connected with, and maybe they're on now, my friend and my niece and nephew. I'd seen them for Christmas and spending the time with the family. And it was the realization that I had felt like I was in a survive status. I felt like I was just kind of flat in there. And then I realized, I'm like, what am I doing? My life is exponentially good. Like, I am sitting here able to connect with people and have those moments. And then I focused on that positive energy. So a lot of it is mindset, Giacomo. For the most part, it's generally not a thing, right? We can have things. Some people are made happy by Porsches or getting watches or things like that, but those are generally short-lived things that are mostly rewards, not actual thrive value. I would say it's the mindset and connecting with people. And if you can't do it with your peers or your group, then getting someone. I have my own coach as well. Connecting to my coach is a big thing, because it allows you to release the things that you think are happening and instead allow in the positives that you're not seeing.
So what would you say? So I know like a lot of us have mentors, or we're like reading up on, I don't know, social media, so-and-so does this, and we feel like that's kind of like a coach, right?
Yeah.
Is it? What's the key differences? Like what, because coach and mentor, I feel like those are different, obviously, but what would you, how would you describe that?
So with a mentor, I would say, like Sarah Blakely was a mentor for me. And she doesn't even know I exist. Sarah Blakely, the founder and CEO of Spanx, who went door to door selling fax machines to create her business. But just just a brilliant product genius. And I was like, this is someone I really look up to, and someone I try to emulate in terms of like going about life. So she doesn't know that she was a mentor for me, but she was. Whereas a coach is someone that I meet with at least once a month, sometimes twice a month. I give updates on, she gives feedback and advice. She listens to what I have to say, and it's different. I would say the biggest thing, a mentor can be anybody. It could be somebody at work. It could be just another friend that's helping you through those things. But a coach should be very, very specific on outcomes. There should be almost like deliverables for a product or a company, where you're getting results. There should be deliverable on results. And then for peers, like you can have peers and other people that you have groups around that provide support. But I would say like that kind of group is support. A coach is like deliverables and action items, and a mentor is someone that is sort of aspirational.
Okay, because I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like the consistency of meeting with a coach helped me a lot. Because when I didn't have that, I was like, oh, I'll ask so-and-so next week, but they seem busy. Like my mentors, like I'm like, they seem busy. I'm not gonna bother them with that, like whatever. But if I met with somebody consistently, I was like, here's the things I'm gonna talk through. Here's where I'm struggling. And like, I think that that's also a huge piece that at least helped me with where's the coaching.
100%. That consistency is definitely key. Any practice that you do, which is why I talk about mindset coaching, right? If this is about, people get physical coaches, they help them in the gym and things like that. And then you say mindset coach, and some people are like, I'm not crazy. I don't need that. It's not about, that's why I talk about the shift from survive to thrive. It's your mindset coach should be able to help you elevate. You still have to do the action items, right? You're still responsible for doing those things, but that consistency, those conversations, and the accountability is what can help lift you up.
Yes. Okay. And what do you help? Like, how do you help coach people? When you say mindset coach, can you kind of explain that a little bit more? I know that might just be like a coach of mindset, but I hear that and I feel like there are millions of coaches that say that they're going to help you with your mindset. And I want to know what makes Jeff in the mindset coaching.
So, so the first thing I would say from my unique value prop for myself is that, I've created the patents. I have a creative mindset as well. So I do that with people, and I can pivot into businesses that don't have any relevance to anything I've done. But that's my zone of genius, is in pivoting past roadblocks and helping create new pathways. That's the way I create a sort of a map as well. That's one thing I do uniquely. But with any, and from my perspective as a coach, like we focus on things like the past, present, and future, right? We've talked about where we've had these conversations. I try to get people to shift into the present, which always sounds simple to say, like, oh, of course I'm in the present, I'm right here. But most people's mind go back to something that happened 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And that becomes their reflective point of moving forward.
Like their survive line?
Exactly. It's part of their survive
Okay.
line. But the problem is, for when most people think of things, they generally tend to go like, oh, this is what happened. This is where things went wrong. So I'm not going to do the wrong things again, right? This is the failure conversation when we talk about failure. We look at the failures and say, like, okay, I'm not going to do that again. We don't look at the successes and say, like, oh, I'm going to emulate that success. I'm not going to repeat that failure, right? And
so yeah,
this is where that mindset, and so that mindset shift, which is why I love the title of the failing freedom in that failure. I try to get people into the understanding that if you're staying present, there's no failure in the present. Like, unless you're in the middle of something bad, and literally in that moment, which generally, if you're listening to me talk, you're probably not in that moment. I hope you're not. But it's most of the time we reflect back on the past. And so I use words like, when you look at past, present, and future, I use words like depression. So people that say, like, I'm depressed or I'm sad, it's because they generally are thinking in a past mindset. If you say you're content, you're happy, you're thriving, you're doing really well, you're in that moment, you're in the present. And if you say I'm anxious, right? This is why I started teaching a course on anxiety last year. If you talk about being anxious and fearful, it's because you're thinking about the future, which has a billion opportunities for every time you make a different step, you've created a different.
I'm great at the future. Yes.
That's
okay.
That's anxiety.
I do have a question.
Sure.
This is complete. We have not even this is kind of random, but flow and anxiety. So I feel like for me, when I get in my flow of work and I'm just checking things off the to-do list, I'm just feeling good. Yep. I sometimes get sucked into my little flow rabbit hole where I'm just doing this and doing that and doing this. And it feels like my world goes faster and faster and faster. And that can kind of feel like anxiety. And so I'm curious, the difference, or how do you, because for me, it's always that I can't keep going. Somebody needs something. Somebody's crying. I have to leave my flow, and I don't want to leave my flow even if I've been in it for 2 hours. I have to do other things, but leaving that kind of brings on an anxiety for me because I've been going faster and faster, more productive and more productive. What do you recommend to avoid that switch to present or to future mode where you're oh, but I got to do this and I got to do that, and what about this? How do you not get there?
So part of it is doing a checklist, and creating that checklist and then checking stuff off before you get into that flow state. So that if you have, and now you can't anticipate the needs of your kids, your toddler, that's something that is external. That's an external force that has to be dealt with, right? That survive mode is something that has to be dealt with, right? That's that baseline. So you do need to deal with that in the baseline of things. But a flow state is that you're present. The way, just for me, when you say flow, I instantly think of you're in that exact moment. And because time doesn't really exist, we measure things through time, right? Because we feel that in the moment. But if you think about how you are, you're just being, right? And if you're present, you're just being, you're staying in the moment, you're staying present. That anxiety where you're saying, but if I don't finish, I'll do this. And for you, I would create a checklist then, or at least create a note on a stopping point and say, okay, I'm going to go back to this state, and then create whatever that state was, that, or how you got there. So if it's listening to white noise with headphones in, so that someone else is dealing with those kids in the moment, so you can have that space. surrounding yourself in a state like I was telling you, I use these stones to help bring myself back in when I start
Can you
getting out
explain
of
those?
that state. I'm sorry.
Can you explain those again? Because I know you showed
Sure.
them right before we went live, but I want to hear about them. And
The two biggest things, I use a smooth stone like this, that like as we're talking, I hold this one just to keep myself in flow. This is my literally like that you said in flow. That's funny because that's what this stone does for me. It's smooth and I don't get distracted. If I were starting to talk to you about this future flow state and things like that, and then I started going off on something completely random and I knew I was losing you, I grabbed, this is a very, I don't know if you can see it, but it's a pretty rough, it's a rough stone, and I use it to like, it breaks it's a trigger break in my mind. And so it stops that, because flow can be two things, right? Flow can be in that flow state of creativity and getting things done, but you can flow down into that negative state you're talking about of anxiety. So grab something smooth, grab something that means something to you in a positive way. And when you're in that flow state of moving towards something, and use that. When you're moving away from it, going into flow in a negative state or a dive, in those moments, because of anxiety, right? Because of the future state, grab something that will break that for you. For me, this is like a totem. I call it a totem. It's just a stone that represents to me like, okay, bring it back. You're getting over, you're overthinking, getting overcomplicated, because that's the way my brain goes.
I wanted to point this out. Giacomo says that I started following an amazing mindset strategist, and she said, I'm grateful you listen to my podcast, but if you don't take real action in order to elevate your mindset, it's pointless. I love that, because I love content creators who don't make content for followers or numbers. Those are the only kind of people I like to work with, because people that are out there actually making things that are going to help you are the people I want around me. So he even gave us the link to her Spotify. So I'm going to have to go on LinkedIn and grab that, because I'm definitely going to go listen to her. So I love that. And I definitely am going to check her out. Thanks, Giacomo. That's awesome. Okay, let's see. I did love in your announcement that you put out about our conversation, you said something about true versus truth. And I want to kind of dive into that, because I was like, let's talk about that. Like, what does that mean?
So I came up with what I thought was a simple analogy, and one of my friends, I don't know if he's listening or not, but we kind of coach each other and help each other with our work. I had said, there's a story I have. One woman is on the phone with her friend, and she's talking to her, and she says, you have to see I have the most beautiful sunrise here. I hope you can see it. It's gorgeous. The sunrise is coming over the ocean, and it's just the most beautiful thing. And the friend on the other line says, what are you talking about sunrise? It's a sunset. I can see it over the buildings to the west.
Okay.
And so how does that make any sense? What they're both saying is true. How does it make any sense?
Right. Because they're both true.
But why are they true?
Because they're on the opposite sides of the world. Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
And exactly. No, that's exactly it. And so when we generally have conversations with people and we have these issues at work, we generally talk about what is true, and we'll fight for it towards the end. Some people do it, to their own detriment. They'll say that, but this is what's true. This is what happened. Even witnesses.
I appreciate that some people are like that convicted to, because I will always be like, oh yeah, like, yeah, whatever. Like, yeah, it's probably a sunset. Like, yeah, you're probably right. Like, it's a sunset. It's not a sunrise.
That's mindset. You have to start believing in yourself and understanding what's true to you as well. And so it's that, and when you have those conversations, because I had this between two other people that I know, and I said that there's everyone's saying their own version of what's true, right? And what was true for both those people talking on the phone was exactly what you said. They were standing on opposite sides of the world. But if you don't see that other person's perspective, if you don't see it from that mindset, you're not going to see that. But what is truth is that the Earth rotates around the sun. The Earth just sort of sits there, sort of, in this stationary compared to everything's moving, obviously, but relative to the Earth, the Earth is rotating in multiple directions around the sun, right? It rotates around itself, and then it rotates around the sun. So depending on where you are in the world and what time of year and what time of day, everyone will have different perspective on what is true. So the truth, though, is the Earth rotates around the sun, and depending upon where you are in the time of day, it's at different apexes or settings and things like that. The same thing happens in generally when we have conversations with people. And I was talking to another friend, and being like going through, like, let's say a medical condition where a doctor says, "Oh, you have this," and they say what
Mhm.
they're saying is true, but they're only talking about their true is what they've seen on a diagnosis or whatever. They don't really understand what's going to happen to you. And the truth is that we're humans that are able to heal. We're able to do things, like we're taking, like Giacomo said about taking action. Taking action, you can eat different things, you can exercise, you can take other supplements, and getting your mindset around the fact that you're healthy is what's truth. But
Mhm.
what's true is maybe someone's coming at you with a little piece of it, and they're very big difference. It's not an equal sign between them. It's a whatever your version of truth and your version of what's true and my version of what's true doesn't equal the truth.
Yeah, I like the idea of like us kind of checking ourselves and being like, okay, like what's the bigger, because I know like when it's my little perspective, I'm like, no, it's a sunset. Like you're wrong. Don't ask my husband, poor husband. But I'm like, no, it's a sunset. Like I don't know what you're talking about. It's a sunset. Or I do what I was saying earlier where I'm like, no, like I guess it could be a sunrise. Like if you seem really like a smart person and I'll believe you. But I like the idea of kind of looking at it like here and being like, okay, well, if we're both thinking this truth is not the same, what's up here? How
Yep.
can we get up here so that we can see both of the truths? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like that 30,000 foot view. That's
Oh,
why I
okay.
use the sun. That's why I use the sun as the example, right? Because if you're zoomed in on your little location, that's
Mhm.
all you see, right? You only see, you're looking out, you see the ocean, you see the trees, you see what your view is, you see the mountains in the west or whatever. But if you zoom up above, the Earth just looks like a little. The further you zoom away, the Earth is just this tiny little ball, and the comparison from that view can shift everything. And that's what we need to do, especially when I'm coaching people that are looking at business. I've had these conversations with, um, like a year ago, I was helping somebody who had created a product and had been stuck for almost 2.5 years with another person, and it was literally that little statement of them being able to see each other, what each other was saying, and had nothing to do with the truth of what the product could do and who they
Mhm.
needed to get in contact with. It was They were both fighting, literally fighting. They were best friends, and then had founded this business, and then we're fighting
Ooh.
over over the sunrise and sunset
Yeah,
conversation.
the little windows. That's interesting. I
And
just have to say, everybody, I know most of you already know this. Jeff is like the best at connecting people to other people to help with other things. I feel like you are like such a good cheerleader for people, but also like a great like, oh, here's who you need. So like for example, I come to Jeff and I'm like, hey, I am really struggling with trying to find somebody for like legally legit things in my business. And Jeff was like so quick to recommend somebody else, kind of like Giacomo in the comments with Izzy. Like some of you, Giacomo, Jeff, you guys have like this insane ability to like create a community and connect everybody. I know that if we didn't have you and Giacomo and Jen and just like there's a handful of people, I personally probably wouldn't have been connected with the amazing network that has come from LinkedIn Live. And like I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing for work now if it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for Giacomo, if it wasn't for this community. So can you kind of talk about like, is that something you knew you were good at? Or is that something that like you stumbled into in the past?
well, first of all, thank you, thank you for that. Um, maybe slight over exaggeration of my ability to connect.
Absolutely not. No. Look,
Thank you.
Rachel agrees.
Um,
People connecting is huge. Yes.
that's true. Um, I never would have considered myself in that mode. I, I, I didn't think that that's what I was. It's funny because when I started, So my sort of my genesis of that was when I was I created Coffee, and then I needed to, that's true, Ryan, too, and
Yeah.
Rachel.
I'm getting us distracted.
It's when I was trying to raise funds, I was trying to get VC money to invest in the Coffee, and of course that all happened right during COVID. So
Wonderful timing.
it was perfect. Yeah, it was perfect on my part for February 2020 to have my first meetings. And so I had my first in-person meeting. My second one was scheduled for late March of 2020. And then I had 3 VCs in California that I was supposed to fly to. And you can guess how all that went for the next for the next year and a half. And so I had to pivot to start doing more connecting on LinkedIn and connecting to VCs on LinkedIn. I was like, I don't know. There's no course on. There's no one could tell me how to do this stuff, which is how I actually found Kim, one of Kim's posts in before episode 0 of Coffee with Kim, and then episode 0. Let's say with the CWK Crew originals from episode 0, and that I remember that moment of like I remember watching that, and so this is probably too much behind the scenes, but you guys are looking now behind the curtains of like I remember watching that moment and feeling like this is Kim Kaup. I'm not supposed to say anything here. Like, what do I say? And then nobody was saying. I remember there was a part where nobody was making a comment, and I'm like, I'm just gonna make a joke. I was like, I just made a joke, and Kim laughed, and I'm like, uh oh,
because it's live. Because this is a real live conversation.
And
See,
and then
wait for episode 0.
Cheers.
Oh, look, he even has Coffee with Kim mug. I love it.
And so, thanks, Kim. And so, honestly, that that for you and Kim, like creating that was, I mean, I think you guys push people into thrive from survive mode, right? 2020, everyone was just surviving in that time frame, and so I saw the value in what you guys were doing, and you were the. Thanks, Kim. I didn't have any for the show. I apologize. I should have. Right?
Oh,
that is the best mug.
They'll come. We'll wait.
They'll come. I'll save some. I'll Ryan can get some. Ryan, it's your job right now to bring in some dad jokes. But that community, like building that up, and kind of being in the background and realizing, when to ask questions and to bring that in, and then connecting with people with that. That was a skill set that I used, like in going to lives and meeting other people. And like Kim bringing on Jason Pfeiffer that year, like that was huge. And then I've connected with Jason and Terry Rice and quite a few people that have all been tangentially through the show. And I guess that's where I saw the value was. It was like, this is really, it's paying off, not financially, it's paying off in a way that's like connecting people and building that. And that was a way to push people into thrive as well. It's like to give those, to make things, to make those connections and to build that community I think that was huge. I think what you guys did was huge, and I'm glad I was a part of it, but you guys did the work.
And I just want to say, I'm not going to speak for Kim, but for me, you have no idea. Yes, it's Kim Kaup, and she is like, trust me, I'm a Kim Kaup fan. But we were on StreamYard, we were here, and we were like, is anybody watching? Like, is anybody there? Nobody's commenting. Like, and to see the comments like start coming through, and then as the show's gone on, the way that the community like now it's not like something that has to be prompted from Kim, because everybody's like, oh, what's up? Like, it's Wednesday and everybody's so excited and together. And that's one of the that's what sold me on live streaming completely, is because it's not this like stagnant post. It's an actual conversation where everybody's like coming together and it's creating this community. And you had such an effect on that because you created like an environment along with a bunch of other people here in the comments, which is why I feel comfortable going live on LinkedIn. And I want everybody to have like their own type of community, because like Kim is saying, live is the scariest thing ever. It's so stressful watching. Is anybody here? Like, is anybody listening? And you can't go back. So I just want to say that skill set is rare. Like, as I've been working on different live streams, I realized that what you did for this live show, for Coffee with Kim, and honestly, like for just my network and everybody else who's connected to you has been huge in the past couple of years because of that, and because of not being scared to comment on LinkedIn.
Thank you. Yeah, honestly, it's, you know, I think if we all look to add value in any ways we can, I think that's the biggest thing that's going to lift us up, especially coming out of this time frame. You know, there's been a lot of negative talk, right, and a lot of negative press and things going around that, you know, we see in business. We've posted and talked about on LinkedIn. Kim's talked about it too, of like the layoffs and things like that. But like I've offered to help somebody with their resume too, right? Which Kim had done a show on that as well. And it's like, why not just help each other out and to do these things that are going to lift each other up, right? And there's opportunities in it, like you said, with networking and building, which is why I decided to restart the coaching. I was going to stop doing this and and talking to you and
yeah,
a few other people from Coffee with Kim, you know, that have connected through that network too. It's the same. I'm like, okay, people are asking for this now, and I'm like, okay, I need to start doing this now as a, you know, as something else on the side again. So.
And I want to say, so you've been super helpful as far as like the mindset goes, but also like the real business things, like the real like, oh, this sales page, or like, oh, I don't know. Obviously, you have a ton of experience with product, and I can't even like talk that way with you. But everything that you've taught me a lot of these businessy terms that I didn't know, because I'm just like trying to figure this out. And it's been huge having you kind of coach me on like, I don't know, the right words to say, the right way to talk about whatever it is. And also just like actual, like we were talking about scaling, actually like talking through what that looks like, how to do that, and the steps to doing it. Not just like, okay, Shelby, you need to change your mindset, which you did help with that, because I was like, I help people. I don't want to be the one that gets help. Like I like being behind the scenes and helping others. I don't want that. But because of that conversation with you, I was like, all right, like lean in, let's do this. And now like my business is going great, and it's just been awesome that way, but also in the actual like, here, you need to set this up and you need to do this. So
Oh, well, thank you. You know, it's so I first of all, I appreciate that as a friend beyond being a coach, but it's, you know, what a coach can do is help you see those things, but I can't do them for you. Your skill sets are like, you know, the magic is here because of your skills, right? And it's the abilities. And I'm not telling you that you can, a coach shouldn't be telling you, I don't think you're ever going to do a slam dunk on LeBron James. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
are you
I just
sure?
want to be, I know.
You've never seen my balling skills. You don't.
I'm not. I don't think you win a game of 21 with them. Let's leave it at that, I guess. But but I know you can scale that business, and I know you can help. But if I'm helping you, and then you're helping multiple people, and then that's helping other people with jobs, like to me, that's rewarding in and of itself, right? It's like the same with that community building that you're talking about, and the work that was done here, and what Kim has been doing. You know, Kim's been doing for free for these things.
Like
It's a
people don't realize
crazy.
how much work has gone into that and how much value she's given. Like honestly,
It's
I do want to get to her question that she did just ask
correct.
about, okay, how do you talk about failure and frame it as growth? Sometimes when I talk to about something I failed at, my friends or family will frame it negatively. Hey, I failed, but at least I tried. And I'm not sad. Okay, but I'm kind of sad when I fail. So yes, how do you tell others about your failure?
That's awesome. Thanks
Saying.
for that question, Kim. I appreciate that. That's, you know, it's the first thing is the way I want to point out failure is I'm going to sit on the couch and I'm going to watch Netflix, and I'm going to have food delivered, and I'm not going to stretch myself, and I'm not going to take any risks on business. I am not going to try anything new. I'm going to get the same food I get every Tuesday, every Wednesday. I'm going to get the same food. My life is just a survive, nice flat line, and sort of boring. And I'm probably going to lose my mind with it because I haven't tried anything. So for me, all failure is indicative of is first of all, it's the framing of the word failure, because all it means is that you've tried something, right? I've invested time in a business and a product, and it hasn't worked so far. That's what it hasn't failed. I don't call it a failure. It's an amazing product, and eventually it will catch on. I'll figure out a way to do it. I'm still working on ways, Shark Tank, to get that out there. But
Yeah.
if I didn't try, to me, not trying is the failure. That's what the failure is, not trying to do things. It's not looking to move past yourself. It's because there's no goal. Like, you don't have to set goals to not try anything, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to get up and I'm going to do the same job I've been doing for 30 years. And like, that's cool. That's a good life. That's survive. Like, if that's what you're into. But the people, most billionaires didn't just walk in and go, I just did it and it worked, and I think, to Kim's point, the problem that we see with failure is, like I saw it in the VC world when I was trying to do these raises, is these, like, people would be posting all this bragging about, I invested in this unicorn, and I made it, and it's easy to talk about the unicorn when you've made the unicorn. What they don't say is that they invested $250,000 as a limited partner in this one company that went belly up. No one brags about their quote unquote failures in that way. They brag about their wins, right? But the fact is, most of those businesses that you invest in as an investor will fail. You'll get that, and they don't talk about it, but that's honestly, that's where the growth comes in. You start to do the learning. So failure to me is a willingness to stretch past yourself. You've achieved something just by trying. That's already that you put yourself out there, and there's so much growth that comes. Your mindset will change when you do those things. I can tell you from experience, and Shelby, you're living in the experience of it as well, as you're pushing this forward, and the potential failures. Like, who cares?
Yes.
Like, who cares? Like, what does it matter?
That's the idea for me for 2023 is I'm going to just do so many new things that I fail at a bunch of them. Sourdough, herbs, all of that. That's fine. I'm learning. And I think what James says here, learn from your mistakes, adapt your outlook to prevent failure from happening. I also think that's true about producing content on LinkedIn or any social media platform at all, is that honestly, I think some of your failed posts are where you're getting the most feedback, even though it feels super icky and like super uncomfortable to
get nothing.
Yes. And I think that's kind of a hard switch, is seeing not only mistakes maybe, but also like something you thought was just like super good, but you framed it incorrectly. Like for content is where I'm thinking just like, oh, I had this really great idea, but I wrote it as a like text post instead of writing it, or instead of recording a video or something. And like getting that feedback is helpful. So don't just give up on some ideas, reframe them, move forward, kind of thing.
100, and then get that coaching. You're talking about your herbs failing. Kim had a plant coach in Austin because it was such an environment. I don't know if anyone remember those stories, but Kim has a plant coach. So get a plant coach. It's honestly, that's where you get the mentors and the coaches in as well. When you're starting to try something that is outside of your comfort zone, you can reduce your risk of failing by partnering with somebody.
Yes.
You can reduce your risk by getting someone that has done it before. Reach out to somebody in a heartfelt way, and not in a salesy way, but reach out to them to say, like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing here, and I'm not going to point out anyone on here that's helped me, but someone on here has helped me with things that I was doing something that I was like, I've never done before, and it was awkward, and they gave me a lot of their time, and they know who they are and how much I appreciate it. But it's, it is, you have to be willing to ask for those things and to be willing to partner, and you're still going to make mistakes. I promise you, you're still going to make mistakes. And, being on here, right? This is uncomfortable.
Oh my gosh, so uncomfortable. Like I said, I've done the behind the scenes stuff for a long, long time. And I really did not give enough credit to the people who show up on the camera. I'm like, what's the big deal? Like, look at the camera, like, don't read the comments, I'll handle comments. But now that I'm here, I'm like, Very uncomfortable, but very good for our growth. And I just want to point out, Ryan came in clutch with the dad joke. Kim advertised plant coach position as a growth opportunity.
Oh, that's so perfectly done. I love it.
Amazing. All right, Jeff, I think our time is just about up. Is there anything else you want to make sure these wonderful people know about you? Where can they find you? All of this stuff.
Sure. So I think you'll have a link to that we could put in the comments later to my website, because I've decided to do coaching. There it is. REYM Walsh. The
I failed at that, but we learned and we redid it.
Didn't fail. You didn't fail. You had a learning, and it's better. I've decided to do one-on-one coaching again as well. So there's a link on there basically, and you could just DM me on here as well or on Instagram. But I'm going to do, for anyone that's coming from here, I'm going to do instead of the 3 package, I'm going to do a 4 coaching package as well. So you can DM me and I'll tell you about that opportunity. The website also has a link. You can be able to connect to me on there as well. But I thought about putting together look at the new Link Master. New Link Master.
Kim gets Link Master for this.
I give up I give up my title. Kim's the Link Master. So I'm also thinking about doing another a course with people, like doing a live course to help people do the Survive, Thrive, or Dive, to take them through the tools of understanding the past, present, and future, to talk through failure and what that is, to talk about true and truth, to get them through these moments. Look, because we're all coming out of a lot of damage was done with COVID, not just to physical health, but to mind health as well. And I've seen the results of that throughout a lot of the community. And so I just want to help people move into thrive. Like, survive is a great baseline, but let's use that as your trampoline to move upwards and not just stay there. So
yes.
I'm looking forward to doing that.
And let's just get one last question. What's your best piece of advice as we fail into 2023? I like it.
I love that. So my best piece of advice for as we fail, I would say, write down what you've learned, celebrate the learnings. Let's celebrate those learnings, and let's not use failure as a way to hold us down. Let's use it as our bouncing up point. Let's make failure that survive mode of, I'm going to use that. I'm gonna bounce right back off of that, and I'm gonna try something new, and I'm gonna try it in a different way. So we're going to celebrate the wins of that failure, celebrate the learnings from that failure, and bounce into the new opportunities and partner with people as you need to move towards success. Find the right people to partner with and join the community, especially on Wednesdays at 1:00.
Yes. Good. And I would just say laugh. I feel like laughter is so underrated. Let's all laugh at ourselves. If you need a good laugh, I'll send you my curler picture of me trying curlers. But laughing through our failures and just embracing that this means that we are doing new things. And the mindset should be, at least for me, what I've started doing is like, oh, I failed at something. That means I was doing my New Year's resolution. Like, hooray!
That's awesome. Yeah, celebrate it.
It's been really good. And like Giacomo says, let us use failure as fuel, and we're going places. We're all going places. And this group, I don't know which way it is. I give a crap about that too. But this group is been super great as far as like celebrating and being okay with failing at things. That's what we're doing in 2023.
That's
so
awesome.
Let us know if you need any help, any cheerleading. And Jeff is great with the mindset. I will just laugh with you. Send me your curler pictures. I'm here. We're good. And we will see you next time. Thank you so much for everybody that joined. Thank you for being a part of this, Jeff. I appreciate you and appreciate
Thank you.
all that you've done. Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Cheers.